Good evening and welcome to SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia. This is number 387. And tonight we have a very special show. For the first time, we have poets and storytellers joining us. It is so important to pay attention to our words. Even when we speak of business, our words mean the world because they are the thing that attract people to us, our stories. So today, I really wanted to honor the words and the experiences of 5 amazing Indonesian poets, young Indonesian storytellers and poets, because I think that very rarely they are given a platform to express themselves. And through their words and their stories, I really want you to understand Indonesia, Bali, and the struggles and challenges and the joys that they experience on a daily basis, so that you get to travel and you get to understand a culture that you might not fully understand as a tourist or even as someone who lives here on the island or in the country. So, first thing is introduction. What I would love you to do is to give your name, your first name, and to explain what you write about and why. And we're going to start with you, Imam. So pick up the mic.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. Firstly, I say thanks for the Carol inviting me to this space. My name is Imam Barker. I was born in Denpasar, Bali. I live here, I grew up in Denpasar. And why do I write poetry and what is it about? First, why did I write? Because I want to express all the things that I find in the world. And also drug writing, perhaps also to represent people, to make people happy, especially who love poetry. Sometimes I learned the way how to write and read the poetry because this is for feel my heart stronger than before. Yeah, that's all maybe.
Thank you, Imam. Virginia.
Hello, hi, my name is Virginia Helzainka. You can call me Virginia, V, whatever that is. Mostly what I write about is personal struggle with looks, with trying to settle into certain labels, basically self-exploration, and also some family issues. Why I write about it? Because I write poetry because when I hear someone read a poetry and I can relate to it, there's a sense of liberation and relief. And I just wish that when I share my poetry, there's also another one of me that feels the same. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Hey everyone, my name is Bali Harta. I'm just a local man who've come from a small village. And then talking about my poem, so I actually write a traditional Balinese poem. So in traditional Balinese poem, the poem just present in the form of the song. So, and today I'm gonna bring something that I really love, which is a connection between we as a human with our universe mother and also father, which is universe father is called Akasa, which is the sky, and also the universe mother called Pertiwi, which is our land. So I really want to uplift this into, uplift the local value about what we have. The Balinese have, but the Balinese has into all of you. I think that's all I can say. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So there is something that we do, when we're part of the audience and we hear poets and we really, really love what they say. We don't always clap, but we snap our fingers. Yeah. So if you hear something that you really love, please let's pretend that we are at a show, actually, and then because it is actually a talk show, and let's do what we do at Poetry Night, which is snap fingers. Beautiful.
My turn. Hi, my name is Christina. Hi, everyone. I came from Flores Island, such a beautiful island outside of Bali, and been here for 10 years. And then, you know, what I write, like most of it is about feminine rage. I tend to tell it many times when I start to reading it in front of people in a crowd, because I think like I need to remind people about what I want to try to say. Especially I'm a local. There's another way of a local presented in the crowd. But also in the same time, I just want to make sure that people notice that the topic of a woman is never run out. Like never gonna finish. I just want to keep talking about it. And then most of it is about me being mad about what's happening in society and what's happened towards, you know, what I feel surrounded me. I think that's all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bagus. My relationship with poetry is that I think language, as Carol was saying, is magic. So you can take people on journeys, you can plant images in their minds, you can surprise them, you can create connection, you can... Kundera said, metaphors are dangerous. A single metaphor can give rise to love. So, I mean, on a fundamental level, I am really in love with a well-constructed sentence. So, I love seeing it in print. I love hearing it in songs, in poems, and I write sentences that you know I find myself to be beautiful. Thank you.
And welcome to the country of nerds. You know, like we're all in love with sentences, with grammar. You know, because I'm also a storyteller and a poet. So this is something that we all share. You know, we can spend hours just constructing one sentence. Some people might think it's sad, but actually we love it. Tonight is going to be very different from normally because we're also going to have live performances. And our first performance is going to be by Virginia. So go on.
Three things I learned from being a girl who isn't girly. If boys don't cry, girls don't shout. Because boys are strong and girls are weak. If boys get tattoos, girls get contour, because boys are wild and girls are polite. If boys have short hair, girls have long hair. As boys have pants and girls have skirt, blue, black, pink, white. Everything must be classified. Everything must be categorized, customized. It's not a choice. You don't follow, you don't count, you don't follow, you're not recognized. That is what I was taught as I was growing up. That's what I was taught, to be seen as a real girl. As a girl who ended up isn't girly. Here's what I learned. 1, while boy learns how not to cry, girls are crying because of them. And we are used to hear to say it's okay to cry and let him pass by, but And instead of getting a headache, I'm getting up for a proof. I'll walk up to you and roar in fears and what you'll miss because I'm well damn worth it. And for that, I got named bitch. 2, the 2 kinds of girls. Those who fancy natural look, those who'd be on full-on glam up glitters, and both are different and yet kind of the same. In a way, both would agree that a girl who doesn't paint her lips, who isn't walking on tiptoes, doesn't wrap up her curves tight, are stand-up comedy material, or an extra sidekick character, or in a phase, confused and lost, and hopefully puberty hits her soon enough, eh? But in the most clear-headed mind, I say, I don't want to doll up to show up. I am my own picture. I am my own picture, I am my own picture. And for that, they ditch me from the girly category. 3. Mom's least favorite outfit is my most favorite, but she never says a thing. When I showed up with a big smile and new hair, my friends laugh, shock. Virgi, did someone broke your heart? What happened to you? You look like a... I'm showered with the boy stamps all over my face. Well, if you must know, I will wear a new plate. I will wear a bow tie. I will get the boy cut if I want. I'm my own picture. Ditch me from that category whatsoever for that standard. If there's only one way to describe me, go ditch me and do call me bitch if that's the way you want to see the world. If that's the only way you have in mind, I am so sad for you too. When I know myself, when I know that I'm not just a cherry on top, I know that I'm a whole cake, go call me that. I'm my own picture. I'm my own color. I'm not a math you can fit in a column. I'm my own picture. If you're looking for a girl to match your checklist, I'm not the one because my lists are countless. My lists are numberless. I'm my own picture. I will wear anything that I think that's fine. I will wear a bow tie that my body likes. I will get the boy cut if I want, and I will look damn good. Thank you.
So, as a poet, one thing that comes with our stories is the fact that we're different. Yes. So, how does it feel like to be different for you?
It's strange at first. Well, you kind of growing up, having an education, everything got to do the same thing. So being different is not something for me to be registered as natural. I mean, this is my personal point of view, I guess. And being different, so then I get used to being called some labels. And then growing up, I try to be okay with having these labels, either weird, a nerd, a quirky, all of any kind of names they want to call me with. And I guess come to terms as make peace with it is also quite a journey on its own. Being different in my head, I say, it's just trying to learn who I am. And not, I don't, it's not, I'm not learning to be different. I'm learning to be who I am and be comfortable with what I am instead of trying to satisfy other standard of me. I mean, I have it, I don't come, okay, when I say other people, it doesn't mean just some strangers. I have it within, I have it from my own family. I have it from my mom. I have it from my sister. So it's a continuous, conversation in my head. It's something that is not just by events happening in my head, but it's literally time after time, by day. So it also a practice for me to be patient and also listen and also write. So then I run to poetry. Yeah, I guess. I hope that answers the questions.
That beautifully answers the question. Bagus, do you feel that you're different?
Yeah, I'm mixed race, so my father's from Ubud, from Bali, my mother's from Finland. And I think it's a common experience for third culture kids to feel not fully accepted or not necessarily fully at home wherever they are in the world. So it's almost become a cliche, but quite often when I'm in Europe, I'm considered Asian, and for some Asian people, I'm considered European. And I think, as Virgie was saying, I think for all people who don't necessarily find a tribe or a place where they naturally belong, I think you can find, I mean, obviously these days you have subcultures on the internet and, you know, in different groups, but I think if you are a person of a certain kind of persuasion, you know, with an intellectual curiosity, with an appreciation for beauty. And I think being in the arts is a beautiful space because there's tolerance, there's empathy, and there's a way in which I think for the most part, I think Virgie can attest to this as well, most artists, they appreciate, diversity, their tolerance, and they understand that it's a richness and not a curse. So I think from that point of view, anyone, if you think of literature, if you think of music, I think anyone who finds themselves on the outskirts or on the fringes, I think you can find a home in literature, in the arts. Yeah.
Imam, what does it mean for you to be part of a community of poets? Do you also feel different from the people from where you're coming from your family, from your community?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like different with everyone, especially my communities, families, friends, sometimes because the way I do every day, my style, the way I talk, yeah, it's really so much different with other people. And this is something to be proud for me, yeah, as a people who has a lot of dreams in life. So it doesn't matter, because for me, to be different is something special. Thank you.
Gorgeous. Christy.
Okay. I'm a woman that have an option.
Yeah, you're being sandwiched by two really gorgeous-looking men as well. So that's really good.
Where I'm looking at. So, is it same questions like coming out difference? So, people keep commenting about difference like it's something that each you, right? In my honest opinion, when someone thinks that they're different, so other people think the same. I am different from you, you're different from me. It's a walking paradox. It cannot be like a crush in one way and then to another, so you can find the right answer for everybody. It doesn't fit like that. So it's, we all working for paradox. So if I want to try to fit into you, then who I am to say. But in the same way, we need to respect the differences. We need to, if we didn't feel like it, or we doesn't agree with that person, at least communicate. At least try to talk with that person to understanding where that kind of like a thoughts coming from. Because for me, differences are coming because we are human after all, that we are alive and having mind to think. And for me, yeah, different. If you think that you're different, then you are human, you're alive, you have a mind, and then everybody think the same. We are all working paradox.
This thing about paradoxes, it's really fascinating because we exist in different universes, yes? And one of the things when I feel very insecure about my differences is trying to connect to either people who are like me or trying to connect to something that's bigger than me, that can help me make sense. Bali, I want you to speak about this thing about connecting. What does it mean to you as a young Balinese man to be connecting to spirituality, to the universe? What is that about?
Okay, I'll try to answer. I believe that everyone has their own way to connect with the universe, and I really believe that how I can connect myself with the universe, I think by my talents, because I believe that the talents is actually a gift from the God given to me. So through the music, through my voice, I think, and every daily practices that I did in my daily life, I think I can see that as my rituals, and that rituals actually my connecting way to connect with the God. I think that's all I can say.
Beautiful. Would you like to share a poem now?
Absolutely.
Yes, for
Okay.
us. Thank you very much. Ready? Yeah? Great.
Yang pertiwi yang kasau nirmala sunyan yang pertiwi sembah titian ipun jagat sane singgah yang Thank you very much. Thank you.
When I heard Bali for the first time, I was absolutely mesmerized. I thought, where is that young man coming from? Obviously, you know, from the gods and goddesses of Bali. And I have a question for everyone on the subject of inspiration. You started to talk about inspiration, and where else, apart from the universe, do you source inspiration from? And how do you connect to get that inspiration? And that's a question that I'm asking everyone.
Actually, the main inspirations that I got, of course, I just see the older generation than me. When I see my grandmother, grandfather at the same time, and also the others Balinese people who older than me, I mean, like, they have a very beautiful soul, living in a simplicity, and, you know, just do their life with sincerity. And talking about something that I sang it before, so it's called Dharma Gita, or most of the Balinese people called it as Kidung, and it's usually sang at the Hindu ceremony. So I just got the inspirations from the Hindu ceremony, like how sacred that ceremony, like how beautiful that ceremony, and of course the people also who also participating on that event. So the mainly inspiration is from my grandmothers and also my grandfather, because my grandmother and also my grandfathers just teaching me at that time since I was a kid. So I think that's the biggest inspiration for me. And I think that, the very beautiful value that already, given into me, I think that I have a big and also huge responsibility to preserve this and try to transfer this and tell this into my younger generation than me. I think that's all I can say.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Christy.
I was too stunned to speak. That was beautiful. So if it's the questions come, like, I heard this a lot. Like, people ask me, like, where does inspiration coming from? As I always say, like, it coming from, it's just like coming spontaneous. Like, when I feel some things, most of the times I feel mad because, people didn't listen. Or, when people didn't listen, you find another way to express it or, to say to other persons. I have prepared another answer in my head before, but after listening to everyone, and I think, like, I'm not changing my answer, but I just like thinking that my inspirations from all these people that I believe have given me another reasons why I'm doing this right, like doing this kind of like creation, being creative as a person, and then, perform it out loud, and then, even though in the nights that I just write it down, I longing to perform it so people can noticing that all of these beautiful creations or poems that I've been written deserve a stage. And I believe that everyone needs to hear it, not just from me, but maybe they can attract to the listener or to the audience to can create something, and then also delivering their, thoughts, and then things. Maybe they want to create another one.
What's the event in your life that has upset you the most and triggered your inspiration? What has been a really difficult situation, something that has angered you, saddened you, and really, really touched you or transformed you?
This is really good questions. I think that the moments that I think, like, oh, this is it. This is the canon event of, me wanting to create some things to the kind of like a topics of a feminine rage, because most of the time people looking at me and then think that, wow, you can do something. Wow, you're brilliant. Like, what is that? Is it compliment? Is it, like looking down at me? I don't know. I want to choose good things for me. But the way they said it, it's just like not sounding like a compliment at all for me. And that is why I am mad. Maybe it's just my thoughts. But for me, like, if I do something nice, don't say it like it's something that I cannot do. I don't know how to say it in English, but I hope everybody here can understand. Then when someone's surprised, for us that receive it, it's not sound like compliment at all. It sounds like you coming back to me, like you mocking me. And then, or it's just me being sensitive, or any other people in this world was saying, like, you overreacting. What even is that? For me, I was like, okay, cool. And that happened almost every single day. But I keep it down. And then that's my poetry about tonight. I keep it down, I keep it low, I keep it calm. So, yeah.
Who
that's it.
has that same experience of experiencing judgment or having this difference between what is a compliment and what is a judgment? How does that feel?
Kind of feel like the question is for me.
I feel it too.
Well, I write mostly as a channel for me to get out of emotions. So usually when I'm depressed, so all of my poetries are all either sad or very angry. Yes, actually, I never write poetry one piece and done. It's always little bits by pieces here and there and here and there. Sometimes it's 3 different scribbles that, okay, this could be something. So it's usually whatever it is I feel, I just write it down on a note. And the kind of events that birth that is usually frustration. Judgmental, I usually angry and scream and then write later. But then usually when I reflect and then I write it down. But for me personally, I never really had like unless when it's brokenhearted, yeah. When you're brokenhearted, all you want to do is just write poetry. But if it's like from towards judgment, I usually just angry. And for me, I usually just react with emotions, but then calming it and scribble. But then to turn it into poetry is usually after those scribbles come out. I don't know about the others. Do you?
Imam, where do you get your inspiration from?
Where did I get my inspiration? I can get a lot of inspiration how to write the poetry from many things, of course, from sharing friend to friends, and also grateful for life, of course. I mean, like see a beautiful thing that God created for us, of course. And also from small thing that we see every day, like support, listen to the music sometimes, yeah. Like feeding pets, animals, and also care to somebody else, yeah. That's the inspiration coming from. Thank you.
So I'm noticing 2 things, and we were talking about paradoxes. Yes, some of you get their inspirations from anger, and then some of you take their inspiration from love. Yes? Bagus?
Yeah, most of my poetry is about love. Actually, not the poem I'll be doing today is not about love. I think what makes artists different to journalists, scientists, and other fields is art deals with the ambiguities of emotion, of perception, of feelings. And I think when you have moments of high emotion or intensity in your life, I think, depending on how you're inclined, you can channel it into your art. But for me personally, if I've had, the most memorable, the most beautiful experiences, I find a photograph only captures the physical sheen of what's happened. And I think for me personally, the poem is primarily a way to preserve something in language that, I find beautiful, inspiring for myself, and then only after that I share it with other people. I think when it comes to what inspires you to create or to work or to create, new pieces, I think it can be beauty, as the other people were saying, beauty in nature. It can be, beauty in another person. It can be a beautiful life event, but I think also definitely seeing other great artists at work, I think is inspiring, and my friends who are also creating good work. Yeah.
There is something that's very strong in Bali, is the daily practice of gratitude. Yes? Is it for you a way to express gratitude, to write poetry?
Okay, in sebelah sana. Choose. This is.
Maybe I can get to. Of course, Carol, and also my friends. Poetry is one of my my way to express my gratitude. Because as you said before, that most of my poetry, it's about love. It's about like how I say just thankful to the universe, and the simplest way for me to ensure that I am grateful, that when I wrote my poetry, I feel happy, and the smile just came out from my face. I think I just ensure myself in the right way to always being grateful in every single day. I think that's all I can say.
So I think it's actually something that I hadn't thought of, journaling about gratitude, because I know a lot of people journal about gratitude, but to transform that journaling into poetry, it's something that also can be very creative. Yes, and I had never looked at it like this. From gratitude to rage. Your turn.
It's me again.
It's you. It's time for your poem.
Here it is. So my poetry is in Bahasa Indonesia. Most of the times I write it in Bahasa Indonesia. Last night, can we talk about it? So Miss Carol Hill will, read it in English version, so you can understand. So we all knew, what is inside of Christy's mind. All right. This poetry is called Perempuan Tenang. Aku melihat dan tidak ada yang begitu baik. Aku memusatkan pikiran, aku menentukan pilihan. Tidak bisa dijelaskan ketakutan dan kemarahan. Rasa sedih dan ingin sekali kembali. Aku menemukanmu di antara sembunyi dan menjagamu di antara sinar matahari. Hari ini hujan dan satu retakan muncul di bibir cawan. Hari ini mendung, sepertinya aku merasa malu karena dirudung. Kemarin aku menari, membuat luka tidak baik untuk hati. Kemarin juga aku duduk, semua yang ingin ku sampaikan hilang. Aku hanya bisa diam, tidak boleh mengamuk. Karena jika hilang, ayu, beringai, lemah, lembutku, kamu bisa mengamuk. Untuk fase selanjutnya aku menunggu. Diam dan tidak banyak bicara. Untuk kesempatan berikutnya, aku harus bisa mencari alasan di balik buah-buah ketimpangan dari kita, menjadikan kita diam dan tidak banyak bicara. Terima kenyataan bahwa perang dimulai dari keterlambatan untuk mengerti apa yang sebenarnya terjadi. Apa yang sebenarnya terjadi. Apa yang sebenarnya terjadi. Perihal menjadi perempuan, perihal menjadi ibu dari keluargamu, bukan keluargaku. Perihal bahwa ketuban yang mengalir dari tubuhku adalah kejayaan milik kuat. Dan betapa gagahnya dirimu. Perihal bahwa perut dan dadaku bisa jadi lahan pasar, dibentangkan tanda bahwa aku pernah sakit. Dan dengan akal sehatku menyambut baik perasaan itu. Hari ini cerah terang. Akan kusiapkan padamu makan siang. Jangan datang terlambat ataupun telat. Setelah nanti datang petang akan kusiapkan pencuci mulut lainnya. Alasan baru kenapa kamu harus mengutuk aku, karena memutuskan untuk mencuci baru lepas kaos putih dan jeans biru bukan dengan semangat menanggalkan kain agar bisa kamu kenyang dan tenang. Aku perempuan, aku harus diam dan tidak banyak bicara. Aku perempuan, aku harus diam dan tidak banyak bicara. Thank you.
Silent revolution. I made a choice. I opened my mouth and chose to speak my truth, but as I look backward, I see that all I birthed was rejected by you. As I burn into fear with anger and sadness, my words remain suppressed. My voice remains oppressed. I wish I could run back to touch my youth, to repair the mistakes I continue to make as an adult. Today, a crack appeared on the rim of my cup, and all the lies I continue to tell myself reign inside my body. The clouds of my shame invade me. Now, I see. I am trying to hide in full daylight. I am shielding my voice with the rays of the sun, using their warmth as shelter and armor. I used to spend my yesterdays dancing around my roles, sitting and listening to your requests and orders, forging a collection of wounds that left my heart broken. Each time, I obeyed to please you so you could feel that you were my savior. My rage stays my silent jailer. I am still your prisoner, because if I took to explode, I'd lose my beautiful, curated smile and you would turn completely mad. I want to write, but all that my people expect from me are words that speak of weddings and children, things I don't have. So I wait quietly in a corner and I think, why is it that you favor silence above hearing the freedom of my choice? Can't you see that your reasons hang on old trees like rotten fruits that stink of inequality between us, inside of you and me? So you want me to be a full woman? Do you mean that you want me to break water to birth children as a present to your parents? And where does that leave me? Do you want me to gain glory as I see my stomach and my chest turn into a busy marketplace where transactions are placed? It sickens me. But you want me in your army, although my common sense tells me to flee. My own army is changing the weather. It is pouring with emotions. It is shining with determination. It is adventurous and courageous. My own army is cooking meals for each other, not for the ones who command us. We are even baking desserts sweetened with hopes and desires. And yet, it does not mean that I have stopped cursing myself, that I know what to do after hanging my uniform. All that I know for sure is that I am a woman born to speak, despite the silence of others. Okay, let's speak about women. And let's speak about prejudices. We've talked about the prejudices that people have towards you, and I would say especially foreigners who come and say, "Oh my God, really? Like you can write that. You can come up with these things. Oh, you're intelligent," as if as an Indonesian you could not, articulate your words and put something together. Now let's speak about women in Indonesia and how it feels to be a young woman in Indonesia. What are the challenges that that the two of you are facing? And then I will want to hear from you, young men, about what it is that you're doing to help these young women and what kind of world you would love to create for them. So let's start with you, Virginia.
All right.
It's getting hot.
To be honest, I feel like I'm a little bit privileged with this question. I'm quite grateful to be surrounded by open-minded people and open-minded people that are also very friendly to share knowledge. I guess it all comes down to also, are you trying to seek this kind of people as well? I guess, like the people around you kind of help you shape the way how you see the world as well. I'm kind of lucky that I'm surrounded with my friends who connect me with the right people. I attended university with lecturers that helps me connect with the Writers' Festival. So I think when you choose the kind of circle you want to be in as a woman, you kind of have to see whether or not only you will enjoy the company, but also see like, is it the kind of people that you want to be surrounded with, like the kind of conversation that they go with? I mean, girls, we have the circle that only talks about men. We have circles that talks about there's gonna be an art show here or there, or we also have a kind of circle that's like there's a new club opening here. So like I guess it also my choice, our choice, to choose and have the freedom to pick and who are we interacting with. And I would say now, well, especially with COVID, everything is digitalized. That it's easier to find these circles. It's easier to find women group, women network. Especially, for example, here even in the Tropical Nomad, they have girls network. So, and then this is the kind of group that share knowledge, that share some skills. So. There's so many options now, and it's up to us to make the move to join them, to make the hey, just knock on the door, something like that. I think, yeah.
So you created your own circle. Can you explain what it is that you actually created in order to attract your tribe towards you?
Thank you. If I can make a little sharing about that, I do trying to make a circle as well for spoken word artists in Bali, especially to the locals. I'm trying to, because I'm just trying to make a safe space for the local poets to share their own original work. I've seen a lot of open mics for poetry, but only in the south area or in high traffic points in Bali, in Canggu, in Ubud, in Sanur actually. Sanur used to be. Denpasar starting too. So I want to take this not just to be centralized here. I want to also spread it out to the north, to Singaraja. So I just want to. Tell to people that when you write poetry, it's not always just putting up to editorial on websites or newspapers or publics, but also it could be just between us people that also trying the same thing, creating that it's but also in a way that we want to make it rewarding. So I'm creating a rewarding system through quote unquote competition, but it's still it's a very much subjective competition. It's poetry slam. Well, yeah, subjective because the audience is mixed. You don't know who the audience are. It could be very subjective. But the point is still the poetry, not the score. So they share their work and not just clap, but also it's a feedback to their poetry. And also afterwards can be a start of a conversation on the creative writing process itself. So this circle that I'm trying to help create, I'm not alone, there's a whole team on that. Around Bali, we usually try to visit multiple places. And then at the end, we also try to gather all of these people, represent the winners from the other cities to perform at the end of the year, something like that. This year we are going to 4 different places around Bali, and at the end, at November 18th, there will be a Grand Slam. Actually, Bagus is one of the finalists of the Grand Slam as well. So this is just a way to rewarding and creating a chance for the new writers, or they're still the one who's still afraid of intimidations of the big editorial, to just share it with people. So yeah.
I think what I love about what you've done is really gone and grab what you wanted, yes, and said, okay, like this is what I'm going to create. I need that sense of belonging. I need community. I need a tribe, and I'm going to make it come to me, and that's it. So taking that responsibility, I think, is very important. Otherwise, women will continue to just hope that someone else is going to do it for them. Yes. Christy, quickly.
Well, a lot of discussions about women will not just like end up like in 2 minutes or 5 minutes. It's too long. But in the meantime, if someone say like, what is my experience as a woman, says I've been experiencing my whole life, I cannot tell you about that. You cannot be in my shoes. But I want to let you know towards what I create and everything else. But my big considerations is always like, right now people are a lot of commenting that a woman is now become a part of the capitalist and then commercial and everything else, because it seems like us women love to just comes into like a business steps, like this is for women, this is for men, and then this is for unisex and everything else. But my point of like keep talking about this on behalf of the creations is because I want to let people know, I want to let people know that there's no such a thing if they, what can I say? This experience, I want people to know that, okay, if it's being part of the marketing, then there you go. If you want to buy it, then if you want to sell it, then someone's buying it. It's fine. But please understanding that whatever it comes from, you need still to listen to those women. Because, in Indonesia, there's a word calling like, nggak ada asap kalau nggak ada api kalau nggak ada asap. What's in English?
No smoke without fire.
Yes, right. So we're not gonna have like that kind of rage or emotions because you guys, like a lot of people using us as a terms of marketing and everything else. Right now, people are commenting like woman like this, woman like that. I said like woman like what? Woman like what that you want? And now the process creations that I've been dealing with is just to tell people that it is okay if you judge, but I don't want to take it. I'm just gonna be like telling you what's inside my mind, and I want your opinions about it, but don't come at me and then say like that's wrong. That's not what I want to hear. That's all.
So I know we are rushing for time, but we still have 2 poems to hear, and we're going to hear them because I'm in charge. So, Bagus, your turn, because this is a very important subject that you're going to speak of. It is part of Indonesian history, and I think this is a voice that we do not hear enough.
We are a depository of the dead. And we are cemeteries for lost souls. People who don't have a mouth, they can speak through us. People who are not able to move, they can move through us. People who are buried, they can rise through us. So history, it's not just a word we speak, it's the very air we breathe. It's why we see what we see. It determines who sweeps the streets and who sits in high government seats. It's the stranger who every day we meet. We're vessels, and we carry history, we carry the violence, we carry the love, we carry everything from the past. So I'll go into the poem. Don't forget. Do not forget. It was 300 years bring us pilfer and loot, our blood, sweat, and tears traded like spices and fruit. And then we meet the colonial fears. The empire became moot. Only for the rising sun to try to proclaim its might, saying, us Asians, we are one, together we can fight. But then our women faced the gun as day turned into a darker night. What is an Indonesian man to think of all this, told to fight his own clan, to achieve national bliss, while she, his wedding plan, returned broken with syphilis? Come, there's still tomorrow, it wasn't all in vain. Son, here is my bow, now shoot away the pain. They'll reap what they sow and take their turn in the rain. Our heroes in their grave, they must be turning the sacrifices of the brave, and nobody's learning from what they gave for a higher yearning. So now, I look up and down, and what meets my sight? Establishments of great renown, supplying every possible delight, where the ones serving are brown, and the ones enjoying them are white. Progress? That's the 21st century.
So when you wrote that, what message did you want to send out to people?
I think if you read the poem, if you hear it back, it basically just goes through the colonial period in Indonesian history, briefly the Dutch occupation, and then the short Japanese period during World War II, and during which there was some hope actually in terms of concentration camps, instead in terms of mass rapes. It was actually in some ways a more traumatic period than the Dutch colonial period. So there's a part in the poem also when I speak about the struggle not having been in vain, because there's still the hope of the next generation. So, son, here is my bow, now shoot the pain away. They'll reap what they sow and take their turn in the rain. So about the cycles of history. I think for me, personally, it was just bringing people's awareness, and I guess what I was feeling myself about how what I was saying earlier regarding history not being something that we read about in textbooks, but it's something that actually conditions the world we see every day. who is in positions of power, who has to work much harder to get to where they want to get to, and not only here in Bali, but you can see it visually very clearly here. I think for me personally, also being half European, sometimes so two things. One, you don't know whether to feel like you're part of the history of the oppressed or the oppressor. And then secondly, I just started to have some qualms or some discomfort about the fact that, a person like me, I'm half Indonesian, half Finnish. Most of my relationships, most of the most intimate parts of my existence are carried out in the language of the colonialists, which is English. So, since then I started to read more, write more in Indonesian and Finnish, but I guess that's the background for the poem. Thanks.
Thank you. How many of you feel that there is still this dynamic of the oppressed and the oppressor that is still alive here we're in Bali? Is there something that you still feel is very present here? Bali?
I try to answer. Okay. I think we have a lot of art communities in Bali, especially. It's a kind of good communities, bad communities, or in the middle of that community. But of course, every community has a bad thing inside, like 20% or 30% like that. But sometimes we grow up more stronger from the communities. For me, it's something fine in the community. We have something what we don't love, something that we like or not. Is something it's fine for us, especially communities in Indonesia generally.
Beautiful. So, Imam, I want to finish on you, yes, because you're going to share a poem about love. And I want to finish on love today.
Now I...
Yeah,
okay.
now. Hold on. Are we ready? Yeah.
Kerasi dikit dong. I try to read a poetry in Indonesia. It's talking about general love. Love for somebody, love for the world, love for the families. Up lagi bang. Apa yang terjadi hari ini? Hidup yang tak hidup. Hidup yang tak menentu. Apa yang terjadi hari ini? Hidup yang tak hidup. Hidup yang tak menentu. Langit mulai basah oleh doa dan teriakan manusia. Daun gugur hingga di hari esok. Kelahiran dan kematian selalu berganti. Cinta hidup kembali datang dan redup. Kembalilah padaku. Kembalilah padaku. Kembalilah kembalilah padaku. Kembalilah padaku. Kembali melewati nafasku. Kembali melewati batas-batasku. Kembalilah padaku. Kembalilah padaku. Kembali hidup, kembali mati, 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 kembali, 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 kembali. Apa yang sebenarnya terjadi? Hidup yang tak hidup kembali hidup, kembali melewati batas-batasku, kembali hidup, kembali mati, kembali hidup, kembali mati, kembali, 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 kembali. Hidup adalah perjalanan waktu. Terima kasih.
So it's now time for questions. So I hope you have questions for our poets. And as we are going to ask for some questions, what I would like you to think about is a few words, really a few words, on advising people who are afraid of writing poetry. What would you tell someone who is afraid to write poetry on how to actually do it? Yes, launch themselves into actually doing it and trying it. So do we have any questions in the audience, please? Anyone? No questions? Yes.
I guess I'm just interested in the process of writing. You know, is there a theme? Is it a feeling? Is it emotion? But when you have that feeling, emotion, or beginning, what is your process? Do you sit down with a blank page and start writing? Do you force yourself to write? Or do you just walk around with that thought in your head for a few days, a few weeks, and let it come to you? Like, what is, I mean, I know if I work in advertising and I come up with ideas, and my process is very different to other people's process. You know, I have to get my thoughts out of my head and onto paper. I'd be interested, and I'm sure it's very different for every one of you. So I'd be interested to hear what that process may be.
Thank you. Who wants to answer this question? Come on, yeah, Bagus.
So for me, if I have an idea for a poem, and I feel it definitely has a lot of potential, then I need to find whatever it is, my phone, napkin, piece of paper. I need to basically create the outline or jot down the main thoughts, because I think Virgil was saying you get this you get a scribble or some words or a rough idea, and then after you can perfect it. But for me personally, every time I've created a poem that I'm really happy with, most of the concept appears basically all of a sudden, and then in terms of creating the aesthetic form for it, that might take, I don't know, sometimes a day or two, or you might return to it. But I think in terms of the process, there's I think it's more about the unconscious work, in my opinion, as opposed to sitting down and thinking I'm going to create a great piece today. Yeah. So creating, I think just to reply to your question about how people can get into poetry, I think what definitely was the case for me. I think if you appreciate the art form, if you read, I think that's a very quick and guaranteed way to get inspired. So there are many great poets out there, Indonesian and poets writing in English, and I think finding poets, finding styles, finding something that resonates with you, that inspires you, that makes you feel more alive, or that tickles your brain or tickles your fancy, just makes you feel, in some way connected to the process, and then thinking, maybe you might be able to create something if not the same, then a little bit similar.
I'm going to change my last question. Why should you write poetry? That's actually going to be my last question. Imam, do you want to answer that question?
Okay, I will answer. For me, life is poetry. Living it is declamation. Our hands, our breath, our foot, our eyes, everything that we have in our body is a poetry. So a poetry that walk every day. So for me, it's everything. Yeah, Suksumo.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to give one, I'm actually going to ask you, Bali, why is it that we should all write poetry?
Personally, for me, why I should write a poetry, it's just because that for me, poetry is the devotion to the God. So that's it. Like how I can when I wrote the poetry and transform it into to be a song and sing it. Yes, that's my devotion to the God. That's it.
Wonderful. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Yes, it was amazing for me to be able to invite you, to have you share your talents. And this episode was very much inspired by the open mics that I go to. So I need to actually, mention Voices Unleashed and All Soul Everything because and Poetry Slam, because these are the places where you can see and experience talents and really get inspired. I want to thank Robert for giving me the opportunity to host this very different episode tonight. Thank you so much. And of course, Tropical Nomad, Ayu, Ichi, Hadis. This could not be happening without you, especially as we had music, tonight. And I really would love to finish this episode by compelling you, I hope, or asking you to give poetry or to give storytelling a chance. Because if you cannot express your story into words, you can't communicate with others. It's really a way to connect with people. It's a way to be vulnerable. It's a way to touch others. And you might be an artist or you might be an entrepreneur. This is a skill that is necessary in today's world. So learn how to write stories, and I hope that I can see you on stage in Bali very soon. Thank you very much.